When you're getting ready in the morning, when you're exercising, or when you just need a little boost. Download Mindset and listen to your favorite motivational speeches while getting ready for the day.
Why don't people start? And I say that because, in hindsight now, you're going to understand, looking back at your own work, the quality of it, what you went through. Why don't they start?
I think it's that pressure of failure, the feeling of doubt, and as well, wasting time. If they've got a family or they've got a job where it's full time, then to start something else on the side when they've got to see to the family or the girlfriend or the wife or whatever it is, you don't have much time to go and do something else that you then hope will eventually in the future take off or become successful. A lot of people say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, and I think that's true.
Honestly, just keep trying and don't be afraid to fail. I think that's so important. And everyone I've met, by the way, from the people that run businesses that are 10 times bigger than Gymshark, every successful person in sport, in business, whatever, whether they've started a business or not, every single one of them has failed time and time again. And I think then people look at the final product and just assume that they were either this incredible human who was born this way, and it is just never ever the case. More often than not, all the most successful people I've ever met are all winging it. They're all literally just working incredibly hard, and they're just giving it their best shot.
I think once you've actually learned how to really try one thing for an extended period of time, every single day, and taken all of your discretionary effort and your money and your time and your resources and put it towards just doing that thing, number one, you realize how few things you can really do well because of the amount of time that it takes. The second thing is you realize how easy it is to beat everyone else because of how few of them actually do that. And learning how to try becomes a generalizable skill across domains. So when you do learn how to play the saxophone, and if you want to pick up tennis, you think about how many sessions you did to fix your fingers and play a more advanced thing over and over again. And then when you realize that the domains are similar in terms of skill achievement, you're like, oh, this is the same thing. And then when you go I need to make content now, it's like, oh, it's the same as hitting 500 forehands and 500 backhands, and I make 500 tweets and 400 posts. And if I do it for an extended period of time and I take the feedback and I don't stop, I'll probably beat most people.
Hard work alone is definitely not enough. You have to work hard, but you also have to work smart.
There's this quote that I read from Kobe where he said he thought that it was going to be super competitive in the NBA. But when he got into the NBA, he realized that people, they figured out that they had made it and weren't willing to sacrifice as much as he was to continue to win. And I would say that realization has been somewhat true for me, which is that winning, it hasn't gotten harder from the actual doing stuff side. There has been the trades that have been different than I expected. But especially when you're looking at the population of everyone to 100 days of doing something in a row, there was a friend of mine who he offered a guarantee on a product that he sold. And the guarantee was this. He said, all you have to do, you can get all your money back if you just open up a Google Doc and say what you're going to do every day. And at the end of the day, you're going to say what you did. That's it. And you just do that for 6 weeks. That's all you have to do. And if you do that and you don't get the results, I'll give you your money back. And what's crazy about that is when he was talking about it, he said, do you know what the completion rate of twice a day doing something is? He's like, it's less than 1%. And so I think we underplay how simple success is and extrapolate an expectation of how easy it must be from that. And then we're disappointed or dissatisfied when it doesn't meet those expectations. It is harder than we expect, but also the rewards may be also greater than we expect.
Why didn't you quit? Because, as I said a second ago, there must have been so much force telling you to go and get a real job.
Yeah.
But why didn't you quit?
I think it just leads back to, again, proving people wrong and proving myself right. And the only other option I had was to go and work for my dad. And I didn't want to do that because I'd done that all my teens and I hated it. I hated cleaning minibuses and ripping stickers off the sides of windows and going to auctions and bidding on cars and stuff. Like, that wasn't me. And that was the only other option I had. So it was like, this is it. It's all or nothing, really.
Setting yourself up for success and setting yourself, I say you have to be intentional about something, right? And so for me, the intentionality was, what do I have to learn so I don't go back to prison? What do I have to learn so that I don't become dead before a certain age? And then I got past that. And then I'm like, what do I have to learn to become a great father?
At the very start of your business, there's not going to be a ton of evidence that it's going well. There's probably not going to be a ton of revenue, probably not going to be a ton of users, but there will be evidence of progress, evidence that you're getting better, evidence that you're making marginal gains. And for me, and even with this podcast, I don't necessarily look for results today or more viewers or more downloads or more revenue. What I'm looking for is this thing getting 1% better week over week? Because it only then takes 100 weeks for us to be 100% better, and that means we're moving in the right direction.
Businesses are created by people for the benefit of other people. And so we need to understand human psychology, both our psychology and the psychology of the people we interact with, relate to, whether that's customers or employees, contractors, the other people in our world. And then there are certain parts about how the world works, system and process, how things tend to interact with each other. That's very valuable and important to know. And I think there's a lot of, for the person who wants to start a new business, a lot of it comes down to answering those fundamental questions. How are you going to create value that someone else in the world wants or needs?
So you're going to have to create a company, create something that generates a lot of value. Typically that's going to be a company. So you're going to create a company that meets a very well-known need that has not yet been serviced by a product that is relatively easy to get across the finish line and into the marketplace. It needs to be something that is going to resonate with social media, and it needs to be something that doesn't cost a lot of money to get started. So either you're gonna layer on way better marketing. So if somebody has a solution to a well-known problem, but they don't know how to market it, you can go and partner and say, hey, look, I understand marketing. I'm gonna be able to get this out there. Or if you have an information product that can be associated with a known problem that you uniquely can solve. I happen to know a little bit about your background. So if there's an element to working in the music industry, to becoming a professional singer, improving your voice, or something like that, that you really have a beat on, that you know a lot of people are interested in, that you could turn into a course, for instance, that people would really resonate with, that could be a great one. The reason that I keep coming back to information products is you're looking for something that doesn't cost money up front. If you're gonna take Quest Nutrition, for instance, when we were building that, there was still a substantive amount of investment that we had to make. Even just buying a bunch of protein powder was expensive. Buying the liquid fiber, you have to buy them in 55-gallon drums. So it's like there were still thousands of dollars that we had to put in the beginning. And so to find something that really takes little to no money down, you're either going to be doing an information product, or you're going to be doing something that you can make yourself that doesn't have expensive constituent parts, or you're going to be finding something that's already made that the person doesn't understand marketing. So it's really about what is the bit of value that you're going to be able to bring to that that's unique, that somebody else can't easily replicate, that the world is going to know instantly that they need, and you just have to make them aware of it, because 3 years is fast. And so Quest, for instance, depending on what you mean by rich, so for instance, 3 years into Quest, we had $1 billion brand, but I didn't have $1 billion that I could put in my pocket. So I was still driving, I think by then I had finally upgraded my car, but for the first couple years of that, I was still in a beater car, even though I was worth a lot of money. And so if you need the money to be in your pocket, that's probably gonna take a fair amount of time longer. And if I can take a minute to get everybody watching to understand the difference between net worth and income, that would be really valuable. So if you don't mind generating $1 million plus in net worth, Now we're back to, you just have to build something that other people say that they want. To have the actual money in your bank account, you have to build worth in something that people say that they want, and then you have to sell that thing.
For me, given my skill set, we didn't invest in the foundations of the business early enough. I was going back to being arrogant at the start. I didn't really respect what maybe the ops or finance people of this world did. The foundation elements of the business to me were nowhere near as exciting or fun as the front end elements of the business, the product, the brand, and the marketing. So I think if we'd have better prepared ourselves for that from a, like I said, data, ops, finance, all these things, I think Gymshark would have grown far quicker.
I think whether you have a menial job or an important job, it's what you're learning. I mean, there wasn't a job where I didn't learn a lot. For me, I would take any job, not based on pay, but gee, what could I learn? What could I learn? Because that made you more valuable. I never really thought it made you more valuable to be paid more. But hey, I haven't done this before. Let's see what this is about. And you learn skills. I think I learned more through my waitressing jobs, because I always had a few at once. You could always get a waitress job behind a counter. I think I learned more about people waitressing than building my business, honest to God. You have to size someone up. Your territory is your counter. You have to make them happy. You want to upsell them a little bit. Maybe you say, you can give the second cup of coffee for free, but how about a slice of cheesecake? It's really good today. You learn how to hustle. You learn how to be organized, how to get the containers in order, how to make sure they're filled when the customer steps out, how to get that person something to drink while you're working on this person. I mean, I learned so much in every one of those jobs. And you know what's great about having a lot of jobs? You start to get a profile of what you're good at and what you're not. And I, in short order, after maybe 7 or 8 jobs, not that I knew what I was going to do for a living, but I knew what I was good at. I knew I was good at getting along with people and making them smile. I could talk to somebody and make them happy, absolutely. And I also knew that I was efficient. I could create a system in anything. I would see the diner counter all wrong, not running right. I would talk to the boss, say, if you did this with the maple syrup and change the sugar, and I could, like an executive, I could rearrange the whole counters, in an efficient manner. And I started learning that those were my 2 gifts, people and efficiency. And if you think about any business, those are really big ticket items. If you could choose people, motivate people, get along with people, make them get along with each other, plus create systems to grow a big business. I mean, the minute you have more than a half dozen people, you need systems. And my companies were always so well organized that they just ran like a Swiss clock. Is that a good analogy? Everything was in its place. Nothing had to be duplicated. It was fast forward. And so I was able to build very quickly, which I had to do because we had big people in my market. And if I had built and replicated systems at a normal pace, I would never catch up to them. So I had to do double, triple time. And what's your answer on that one? Systems. Systems get you moving forward, get a business like a machine. And that was a gift I got from my menial jobs. Thank God I worked. Imagine if I hadn't worked and went out into the real world thinking I was dumb, that I couldn't do anything just because I couldn't read or write. Thank God I learned I could be a lifeguard. I learned I could be a tent salesman. I could be Barbara Buttons calling for solicitations 8 hours a day. I could be all those menial jobs, a hot dog salesman, sell more hot dogs than the next guy. I mean, I had confidence from every one of those jobs. Like, look how cool I am. Maybe I wouldn't win respect by everybody. Well, who cares about the hot dogs? But in my book, I knew I sold more hot dogs than he sold on his, So no, thank God for the jobs. You learn so much by trying different jobs on, it's so important.
This was something that I learned how to do very early in my career. I worked for a consumer goods manufacturer, a big company called Procter & Gamble.
Who make everything, by the way, if people don't know what
Everything.
There's probably 10 things in this room that Procter & Gamble made.
Yeah. Toothpaste, laundry detergent, all of that. I worked on the home side. And one of the things that I took away was every once in a while you'll read in like the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, whatever, about the crazy lengths that consumer goods researchers will go to figure out how people use like paper towels or something like that. I got to be one of those people for a couple years, and it was fascinating. I've watched so many people clean their kitchens. And there's a certain amount of like the value creation process that is psychology and anthropology, of just going out into the world with your eyes wide open, noticing what people do, asking questions, noticing subtle things that they might not even pick up on. And then if you do more formal research, you can start asking people to make explicit trade-offs between options. And so if you could have a candle that lasted a long time versus had the most amazing scent throw ever, which one would you pick? And you can start to kind of navigate the space of possible solutions in that particular category by talking to people who buy candles, because you don't want to ask a random person on the street. You want to talk to people who will actually purchase the things that you're creating. But by paying attention and by asking questions and starting to get a feel for how the people who are making these buying decisions actually navigate the process of narrowing down options to make a decision, that's where you find sometimes the very tiny things that make an enormous difference.
There's sometimes you can walk into a room and be the smartest person in the room. You don't want anybody to know that. And you want people to just talk. Just talk. Give them an opening. Throw them a bone so that they're going to come back and talk and learn the personality of this person. You can learn so much from people just when they talk and you keep quiet. There's other times when you're not the smartest person in the room. And by keeping quiet, nobody knows that. What is this guy thinking? What is this thinking? It's a tremendous technique.
I think I definitely got the DNA gene and understood business, but at the same time, I've been a sponge. And I'll look and watch everything and pay attention, and every day I get up, I look for mistakes and what I can learn that day. You don't ever think that you know it all, because you don't. And so every day is still a learning process, and you can't ever get caught up with who you are, because you're worth a few $1 billion and you have an extremely large company. And because like I said, the day I don't look in the back of my head, that paddle's gonna get